What's going on, everybody, and thanks for coming back to the channel. Again, I am Kyle with Limitless Powersports Service and Repair. What I got here in front of us today is a 2007 cfmoto 500. A friend of mine brought this to me. He purchased it from a dealership he worked at a few years back, and they use it around the farm, mainly for his dad. But now he said they're starting to get water in the oil. He said he replaced the water pump seals and all that stuff, and it's still having the same issue. Most likely going to be a head gasket, guys. This thing sat outside for a long time. It was abused before he bought it. Not a whole bunch has been done to it. I think we had cleaned the carburetor in the past when he first bought it and done a few other things. So we're just going to run through it, check it over real good, make sure the coolant's right. Make sure when we put oil in it, we're going to run it a few times, probably change the oil a couple times to make sure that the coolant is no longer flowing into the oil and mixing together like that. We're going to put a head gasket in this thing because it's most likely going to be that, like I said, and just want to walk you guys through that, and then just kind of, I haven't personally taken one of these apart yet, so we're going to be doing this together for the first time, which should be some fun. I've worked on cfmotos in the past, Can-Ams, high-slung products, pretty much every UTV make and model there is out there I've worked on. Again, if you guys got any questions about that, just shoot me an email at limitlesspodsports78@gmail.com. I'll be happy to answer that, or you can just comment down below, and I'll get back to you guys as quickly as possible. All right, guys, we're just going to jump into this thing right now. All right, guys, so what we got to do, we got to take these seats out first, and then we got to pull the shifter off, the emergency brake, and the head and everything's underneath here. I can already see, just looking down here, there is a vacuum plug that is cracked, dry rotted, literally falling apart. So we're going to replace that. Not a big deal. And we'll take a look over this thing and make sure we don't have any cracks in the intake. Make sure it's up to 100% par. Runs really good, so you don't have to worry about any other issues in here. It's going to take a lot of work, though, because there's a lot of rusted stuff on here. And this passenger seat looks like it's just held in with a couple big cotter keys. So that's kind of different. So, all right, well, we're going to pull out the driver's seat, passenger seat, loosen up the linkage for the shifter and the emergency brake. And All right, guys, we're gonna jump down here underneath and we're gonna drain the oil out real quick. We got a pan down here already. As you can see right here, there's a 17 millimeter drain bolt. They put the oil filter in kind of a crappy spot, but you can still get to it. But we're gonna yank out the oil, check it, make sure to see what it looks like. So let's throw this on here real quick, pop that loose. Get her down here in the drain pan. Take a look at her here. I can already see it's definitely got water in it from, okay, so that looks brand new. That doesn't look too horrible, but the, if you look at the drain plug, it's got a little bit milky in there. All right, now it's kind of changing colors coming out. It's a little dark here. It was kind of whitish when it first came out. Definitely turning black now. Let's stick my finger in there. Oh yeah, it's definitely got water in it. I can tell you that. It's not mixed up, but you can just see it running down my finger like it is. It definitely got coolant in it. And looks to be a lot. So we're going to do some checking here and see what else could have failed on this. Like I said, my buddy said he replaced the water pump seal in it, so most likely I believe it's going to be a head gasket. Water pumps is kind of hard to see. I'm using is right here, so we'll check all that. He's a good mechanic too. He's a good technician. He knows what he's doing, talking about. He just doesn't have time to do this, so gives me a little content to shoot for you guys. So let's check out this oil here as soon as it's done draining. All right, guys, it's actually probably been 3 minutes, 4 minutes or so, and it's still running out of this motor. This thing must be full of water or something, or coolant, I should say. So I don't know if that water pump seal got put in right or not, because I just went up and popped the radiator cap. Let's hop up here real quick. And it did have coolant in it earlier, and now it's not there. So that's pretty concerning. Now back down here, and you can see she's a steady flow. So what I think I'm going to do, pop the drain bolt on the water pump here and start draining the coolant out and see if it stops the leak in the motor. Make sure it's not running right directly through that seal up here. It didn't get put in good and it's still running through there. We're going to find that out. See if I can get a good angle here for you guys. I don't know if I can or can't. We're going to try. Oh my Lord. Ugh. Woo, I'm gonna set you guys down for a second. Wow. Wowzer, wowzer, wowzer. That was tough. All right, there we go. So now we got the coolant draining out. Let's see if that stops the, you can see the coolant coming out there. And let's see if that stops the oil issue we got too. All right, guys, well, that's draining. Check this out. Look what I found in this thing. The luxuries of living on a farm. Got a nice old snake skin. All wrapped up, all kinds inside of here. Let's see if I can't get most of it out here. There's the tail. Here's some of the body. Oh, he was all wound up underneath there. Goes over to oil pump or oil filter. It stuck to oil filter. The fun stuff you find inside of these. Let me turn this light up on my head. That might help you guys a little bit. So, yeah. Nice little snake skin right there. So I've been draining the coolant, I've been draining the oil. As you can see, still got a little bit dripping out of the coolant, and it's still running constantly on the oil right now. Back there, the second one. So, gonna be sitting here for a while longer, guys. All right, finally got the oil out, guys. Sorry about the bad lighting. Everywhere else in here is just full of stuff right now. I got nowhere to put it, so I'm on top of my parts washer where there's not very much light. But anyways, it's not really frothy looking, but it definitely is very, very thin, as you guys might have saw earlier. You definitely tell there's coolant mixed with it. I don't think he actually ran it very long, and it's been setting for a while after he did that. But you can see how thin this oil is. And it literally probably took 15-20 minutes for it to quit draining out in a steady stream, which is, it should be dripping way before that. So trying to get a hold of him, find out, make sure that he replaced the water pump seal, double check that. And if he says yes, we're just gonna, I guess we'll just check the head gasket, put a new one in, and might have to double check that water pump seal.
Heading up to the code 3 chase. Suspect was last reported southbound on Highway 99.
016, 1043 with the pursuit.
All right, you guys saw that time lapse of me getting this head off and everything. Let's take a look at the head gasket down here. You can definitely see where the water's coming through. You can see how the head gasket was starting to come apart there a little bit. Let's see. It's a good possibility that it started coming apart right about here, because I'm looking around. There wasn't anything stuck to the other side of the head. We'll walk over there and take a look at that real quick. But the most I see is what's going on right here. And then let's pull it off and see what we can see on it. See if we can see anything on the other side. Sometimes they don't want to come off very well, and they peel off everything anyways. As you can see, everything's stuck there. Yeah, I mean, you could see, even though the water jacket runs all the way around on this, doesn't have separations, trying to see what could have come through over in here. We're just going to stick a new head gasket in it. We're going to run a couple quarts of oil through this thing. We're not going to pull the motor apart on this one. Like I said, it's for their dad, just to kind of get around a little bit. They don't want to spend a whole bunch of money on it. Replacing the head gasket should cure this problem. We'll change the oil, run it for a while, get it nice and hot, change it. Probably need to be changed a couple times, and then get all the rest of the stuff out. I'll clean up the head really good and take a look at that. We'll clean up the cylinder really good, put the new head gasket on it. Let's walk over here to the bench real quick and take a look at this head here. Bring some light down here. I mean, you can see it's got a little bit of rust in there. This is a first gen, I believe, 2007 cfmoto. It's the oldest one I could find on their website. I used to work on these things a few years back. They're all right. They're not too bad. They're pretty easy to work on, just like all the other stuff is. So we'll take a look at all this, clean up all the residue and mixed oil and stuff. But my biggest complaint here, whoever was in it last time, let's flip this over. You see how much silicone they used, and it's literally going to fall inside of the motor. There was a bunch packed down here at the end where the camshaft sits, and that's not good to have it like that, guys. That'll get down there. That'll get in your oil passages. You can see it's all the way around the inside. I peeled off a bunch on that time lapse. But when you do this, guys, just put a little on your finger, put a nice thin layer all the way around this, and that'll seal it up, man. Even on my race motors, when I put the cases together, it's just a nice thin layer. I know you see the motors, these guys building these things in the factories, and the machine comes through and puts a nice bead on there, and that works great. But we're not that precise with our hands most of the time. So just a nice thin layer all the way around, and all the way around on here too. And that should seal this thing no problem. Definitely make sure the head's not warped or the valve cover isn't warped at all. So I'm going to clean this all up off camera. We'll throw the new head gasket on. We'll do a time lapse of putting it back together, and we'll see what happens with it. One thing I did want to show you guys, here's the new head gasket. Let's cut this open real quick. Let me sit you guys down here for a second. We'll just compare the two. I'm sure some of you guys have seen what new head gaskets look like compared to the old ones. Let's try to get it turned the same way. But you can just see how much of that has come off over time. Even right here, that barely sets on the surface, but you can just see all the junk. But I mean, that happens. These things get overheated. It happens sometimes, and it fails. So, like I said, we're just going to throw a new head gasket on there. It is from cfmoto itself. You can see the part number is 0180-022200, gasket kit cylinder head. And if you can read the other writing, then you can know what it says. But same thing, description, just talks about all that stuff. It took about a month and a half to get it in. It's really hard to get parts in right now. And everything going on. So just want to show you that. I'm going to clean all this up, like I said, and we'll throw that thing in. All right, guys, we got all the gasket surfaces cleaned up really nice and neat. I tried to get every single bit I could off there, and I just could not get some of this really baked on stuff. Scrubbed it, scraped it, gasket scraper, scalpel, flat scalpel. That's all cleaned up. And then we got the valve cover all cleaned up. We got the lower part of the cylinder head cleaned up. And we got the top part of the cylinder head cleaned up, all the valve covers, bolts, all that stuff. Everything's been cleaned. So now we're going to take the new head gasket, throw it on there. All right, guys, you saw the time lapse of getting it back together. A few difficulties with the thing. Had to redo a couple of small things. Not sure if I'm gonna leave those in the video or not, but we got a new oil filter on it. We got new oil in it. I just used kind of a little bit cheaper brand. I was using the Valvoline. You can get like at O'Reilly's or AutoZone. That's a 1040. Just so I could run a few quarts through this thing, get it nice and hot multiple times. That way we can get all the sludge that's probably on the inside of this thing, which we know it is, out. And then I'll run some nice, probably AMS oil 1040 in it. Coolant, so let me fill that up, some 50-50 coolant. So we're going to hook up the fuel pump, which they have an external one. I should put it on a switch for them, but they just do it that way. Got a new fuel filter in it. I had bad gas in it one time, so I took all that out. Carburetor looked pretty clean on the inside. Everything's nice and tight. Everything is torqued. So let's see if this thing will fire up here for us. Hopefully the battery still got some good charge to it. All right, let's see what happens. Definitely tell that we need to hook the battery charger up to it real quick. We're going to lose some light here, guys, because my light I have in here is actually on my only decent extension cord. All right, we're going to flip this thing on a little bit. Starting voltage. See if we can't get her to fire off here. Oh, almost. Pull this choke out a little bit. She sounds pretty darn good. All right, turn this back to charging voltage. There we go. So I want to let her sit here and we'll let her get hot. I may put the shift knob on it later, drive it around. Let's grab since we got that done, we'll unplug it, throw the light back on for you guys here. So that way we can check for leaks or anything like that. Grab my old flashlight. I did have to put the center console back in because it is part of the choke system here. So I had to put that back in. But let's take a look here, see what we got going on. Little handprints burning off the pipe. I don't see any water leaks. Motor's nice and quiet. Everything is nice and torqued down. Pretty sure we got this thing cured. If I run across any more issues with it, I'll be sure to add it to the end of this video, guys. Again, I am Kyle with Limitless Powersports Service and Repair. You guys take it easy, and I'll see you on the next video.